Hello, welcome to the Lee Gunner podcast. Finally it has arrived after you guys miraculously got me over 20k so quickly. It's been unbelievable, and we're currently sat over 25k. So thank you very much. As promised, I said I'd get this out as soon as I get back from Spain. Obviously you can see Claude is sat next to me. There's two reasons I wanted Claude on this podcast first. Firstly, he's a very good friend of mine. Love him to bits, always been sound with me, and likewise back with him. The second reason is Claude goes on a hell of a lot of podcasts, or used to go on a lot of podcasts until they dismiss him for a shoddy camera work, upside down at times like Batman. But he can be very outspoken at times, and a lot of people just want this nicey type of podcast with the same style of people on it. So why not get Claude on first? Welcome to the podcast, mate.
Cheers, Lee, and thanks for inviting me on, mate.
No, you're welcome. Listen, we've got a nice backdrop, the weather's good, and we're going to have a good conversation now. Listen, everybody knows about Claude, the Arsenal fan, that goes on AFTV. He's come out with some brilliant one-liners over the years. We'll get into some of them a little bit later, but I want to know, and I'm sure a hell of a lot of people also want to know, about Claude the guy, Claude the actual man outside of the footballing world. So we're going to take this all the way back to the little days. Can you remember that far back?
Very. What I can remember, I can remember my first ever game, because I grew up in Holloway Road, or just off the Holloway Road in Tollington Park, which is not far away from here. And when I first went to Arsenal was after double year, because when you're 8 years old, if you've got no one to take you to games, my dad wasn't interested. No one really was interested. I'm the only son, and I always listened to the radio for games before then. I love it. I used to love it. I used to be in my back garden listening to games in the evening, because in them days, you didn't even radio commentary. They didn't have. It was just one game on the radio commentary. You've got highlights in there on a Saturday, but in midweek you've got no midweek football on the TV.
Yeah, it's changed massively now.
And I remember I used to have to go out, because there was a phone in the hallway. I used to go out on the phone and dial the numbers. After about 5 to 10 minutes, dial the numbers, see what the score was, because there used to be. This is Arsenal Football Club. The latest score in our match against, say, Coventry City is Arsenal 0, Coventry City 0. So I put the phone down, went back into the next room to watch the TV, and then come back out again. No one knew what I was doing. I was using the bill.
But the phone bill was going through the roof, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then they introduced Club Call further down the line, which was much more expensive. But that's how I started. But my father did take me to one game. He took me in 72. Then he got into it a bit more. He started going, not so much fanatical as me, and he started saying, we went and I remember we went through the gate. In them days you just paid in the gate and you just walked in. None of this ticket lark.
Season ticket waiting.
You just walked in, and I think it was 1972, I think 72, 73, I can't remember, but it was George Graham scored the goal, who became Arsenal manager.
Legend.
And it was, I think, a 1-1 draw with Ipswich Town. That's what I can remember of it.
Wow.
So I can remember that game.
Yeah.
And
you never forget the first game.
Yeah, he said, you see, they're not that good. But that team, after a certain while, it was starting to age a bit. So then 73, 74, he started to take me more games. And then I was about 10, 11. And then my mate, I used to go with a mate of mine after that. And it gradually, we started going to games more. Late 70s, I started going to away games, home and away games, and going on the old soccer specials on the train. You know what I'm saying?
What was it like when you first, obviously you're only a kid when you first gone to your first ever game. What was that feeling like? For anybody who's never been to a game, this might be for you, this bit, but what's that feeling like, or what was it like for you when you first walked in and see all these thousands of people in a ground, you see the players walking out onto the pitch, and you're actually there live, standing on the terraces, cheering your team on, that you've been phoning up and trying to get the scores and listening to?
It's great.
What was it like?
we take it for granted these days. Don't
We do sometimes,
We do.
yeah.
Now
We do.
you walk in, you take it for it's just another game. But in that time, it's just it's a great feeling. You actually seen that team walk out onto the pitch. You know, I'm seeing Charlie George, I'm seeing John Radford, I'm seeing Frank McClintock.
Proper players.
I'm seeing players like that, and I'm seeing, well, although it was coming to an end then, Frank McClintock, but then you had who else was there? Georgie Armstrong. I loved Georgie Armstrong. He was up and down that wing. He was, you know what I mean? He was he put 100% every game. He was just up and down. I've never seen anyone work so hard.
The thing is, once you go to that first game, right, and you're hooked. You're hooked. It's like an adrenaline rush.
I wanted to go every
isn't it?
game. I went again. I kept my old man to take me because my 8 years old. She ain't going to let me go on my own to football in them days. Maybe now you're a bit more, but. In them days, and I was gutted that I couldn't go to the game, and he wouldn't come home from work, and then he didn't come home from work because my dad had a cafe in Holborn at the time, and he didn't come home in time, and we missed the game, and I was gutted. And I used to them days I used to listen to the radio because they had second half commentary, but sometimes they only had about 4 games. In them days, they had about 4 games and the commentary match, and then they just gave the score. And then you had to watch World of Sport, and when they come up, Dickie Davis, the scores would come up, and then on the wrestling, the scores would come up on the wrestling as well. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so there's none of this Soccer Saturday or anything.
None of that. You know what I mean?
No Soccer Saturday, no radio
So-
stations with full commentary.
In them days, they didn't have all that. You know what I'm saying? It just shows you how far football has moved
Mad.
forward.
It is crazy, and the thing is as well, like you say, we take it for granted sometimes. Like, yes, we come here every week, and it's great. But like you said, sometimes you will never get that feeling that you get on the first game every single game after that. You'll get it for a season or 10 seasons or 20, but sometimes it's a chore, isn't it? You know, I've had it where I've walked in, I've like Swansea, when I went Swansea away. Yeah, I was standing there, I'm soaking wet, I've driven 5 hours to get there, and I'm like, why have I done this again? Like, why am I still doing this? Yeah, well, and sometimes it does become a chore, especially when you get family, yeah, and you've got kids and you've got bills to pay, and you know, and that's what we say, we take it for granted sometimes because we are lucky that we can come and watch this team. You know, regardless of your thoughts on the team, we'll come on to that in a bit as well. But we are very, very fortunate that we're in a position, we're in logistically in a position as well, that we don't live too far from the ground, and yeah, it's great. But let me ask you about, obviously when you got a little bit older, obviously when you got into your teenage years and stuff like that, what was your education like? Well, like, obviously you were still going to the games, what was education?
Very poor, as you probably know.
Yeah, any qualification, what were they called back then? Not, they weren't GCSEs, were they?
I got A's for absence.
Okay, cool. We'll swerve straight past that bit.
No.
So,
Do you know what? Even one occasion, in fact, there was an exam I knew I had no chance. So we used to a load of group of the boys had come round my house at the time, and we just drank bottles of wine and played indoor golf and things like that. Silly little thing. Well, that was on my exam day, and then I turned up at the exam pissed out of my head. And after 10 minutes, I raised my hand and said, "I'm not very well, sir. Can I just move out? Can I go?" So it's not, as you see, my education wasn't good. I regret that because I wish I did. I wish I was.
But it's
more.
Never too late, is it? Let's be real. You can still go back and do something now.
I do regret it, and I do regret I wasn't very good at.
No, it's funny you saying that, right? Because a lot of people that I speak to, yeah, not just football fans, but in general, that say that they wish that they didn't do it, but then when they get older, to like my age or your age, they regret not having that because it could have.
My mind was always on football as well, because I tell you what, there was an RE lesson. I don't know if they do it now. It was called religious education. I don't know why we done it, but it was, and. Me and my mate, who was a Man United fan, we used to do predictions for the games and all that. We used to do a list of predictions for all the games and see who got them all right. And then she's coming around talking about the Bible and all this sort of stuff. And I'm thinking, which game?
Man United 2, Arsenal 4.
She wasn't very pleased when she looked at the piece of paper.
Was you popular at school?
Yeah, with certain people, you know, the sort of, you know, you had your friends, you had your cliques, you know, with we played silly little games like I forgot what it was called now. We have a group. One group has to find another group one by one, and then
Okay.
I don't know what it was called. But anyway, it was like
See, back then,
stupid-
back when you went to school.
and Bulldog, of course.
Yeah, Bulldog. That's still
Brilliant.
played at schools nowadays.
Yeah,
mate.
no, you all running.
Yeah. See, back when you was at school, it was different. When I grew up, I was born in '82, so by then it had sort of phased out a little bit more. But when you was at school, it used to be the chalkboard, didn't it? They used to throw it and the cane. Was that back when you was at school? You used to get the cane across your hand or across your back and that?
Nah, I didn't get none of that.
See, my old man.
We had a funny enough.
Go on.
We had which I think what was it? Technology lesson, right? And this teacher had no control of the class. He's from a guy from India, could hardly speak a word of English. I don't know what was going on, and please don't take this the wrong way, but his English was really poor, and no one was taking any bit of notice. And in the end, he was writing the questions on the board and putting the answers on the board as well.